Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Internet. We're live now. So it's
Hi.
Casual Lorechat 25. I'm Andrew, also known as the White Guar. And we are the Dream Sleep Facebook group. I have wine. I'm very happy.
Gross.
Tonight on Drinking with Andrew.
I'm more happy about this cheese, though. This cheese.
Yes,
Wine and
unfortunately,
cheese.
this week it's not beer cast, it's wine cast, apparently.
It's
No.
in Patrician's taste.
I felt like wine today, so. Yeah. So,
I prefer to call the cast Drinking with Andrew.
Well, I'm gonna get some drink too. I'll be right back. I got a gin thing.
yeah. So yeah,
Or a vodka thing. I'll be right back.
you always gotta have. I mean, if you don't have some kind of libation while doing lore, you're doing it wrong. Unless it's at 11 in the morning, in which case you're an alcoholic. Yes, silence. You should get your gin now. So, what do we want to talk about? Now, I know, Dorothy, I've had you in here before. I think we gave you the opportunity to ask questions last time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want.
Well, if you want to talk about anything, that'd be great.
Yeah, you want to give us another one? Then you're the newest blood here. So.
Other than my crazy theory, there's nothing new that I wanted to ask.
Nothing new. Okay.
Not
Well.
you.
Hi,
Johnny.
Anyone else have anything? Johnny, you got anything?
Um.
What are you?
Well, I did find out just one thing kind of cool. Fetch is interchangeable with fuck. In that I was just playing Elder Scrolls Online, and a guy just told me to fetch off. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of using it like that anyways, but it's kind of cool to know.
Wow. Donimer insults.
Yeah, they're good at insults.
There's one I avoid using because it I think is a stand-in for the real world N word. And
it is used as that.
Yeah, so I mean I largely avoid using that personally.
But at the same time, it's not for any specific
race.
It's just anyone that's not a Dunmer.
Everyone else.
I would like
the
to point out
Dunmer
that
are the most egalitarian society. They hate everyone equally.
No, see, here's the thing. I would like to point out that while it is not based towards any race in particular, it is based off the concept of racial superiority, which is exactly what it is in the real world.
I mean, let's be real though. Elder Scrolls is medieval fantasy racism simulator.
Pretty much, yeah.
Fantasy racism simulator.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised Altmer don't have any racial slurs.
Oh, they do.
They do.
I'd love to hear some.
Nebera is one.
Oh yeah, another N-word.
Language real quick.
What does Nemera mean? The same thing as Inwa?
Nebera means unwelcome. Also used as a pejorative reference to outsiders.
Yeah.
So pretty similar.
It's similar. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it really has the same sort of because it's a matter of do we want you here rather than are you one of us.
Yeah.
Like it's a subtle difference, but I think
it's a subtle difference, but it's a difference that does make a fairly big change to the word. Because it's not, while it is a word of contempt or disapproval towards outsiders, it overall literally just means unwelcome. Not every outsider is going to be called it because, not every outsider is unwelcome. If you're an outsider but you're an Altmer from Clan Dureni just visiting, you're probably not going to get called this because you're an Altmer. If you're a Bosmer or a Khajiit, you're also unlikely to get called this because, you're our ally.
Khajiit will.
Maybe.
But the Khajiit are probably the most tolerant society in terms
Although I am curious. I am curious to see what kinds of cultural revelations we have about the Khajiit, especially considering we have projects like Beyond Skyrim elsewhere.
Before he left, Sheik said that we were going to learn more about the relationship between Khajiits and the moon.
which is
lovely.
which is good. And I'm wondering how much of that is going to be influenced or colored by existing projects. So, like the Tagra project, if you've ever seen that, it's effectively, I mean, it's a living dictionary of Tagra phrases.
I have seen it. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. There's one for Tagra. There's one for Dovazul that I use on occasion. Mostly when I want to like name a dragon, or if I'm creating a shout or something, then that's I'll go through.
I was looking at lore from the Dragon Bones DLC yesterday.
Yeah.
It's based on lore from Arena, which I thought it was really cool.
Oh, that is cool. I haven't played through a whole lot of Dragon Bones. I played enough to get that sweet mask, and now my character wears that.
Very generic. There's like a throwaway line in Arena, but legend says that a great worm once came from the heavens and destroyed the cities of the dwarves that lived here. And that's the dragon from Dragon Bones. That's the whole premise.
That's pretty cool. So what else? I feel like I should plug this now. Issue 10 of Telmore came out.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
It was amazing.
Technically on Tuesday, but it was dated for Wednesday, and I wanted to be able to send it to Gina Bruno as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I didn't read all of it, but I enjoyed what I did read, and the interview was really cool to see too.
Yeah, I was really pleased with that Lehman Tuttle interview. Zoss was very accommodating with my requests. They didn't censor out anything that I asked.
Nice.
I came up with 13 questions, which I thought numerologically was appropriate. 12 and 1.
Yeah.
And
12 planets.
I asked a few questions to try and get us to learn a little bit about Lehman Tuttle and who he is and what are his influences and what was his relationship with the last lore master and I want to get a feel for the man, right? And
I think he's nerdier. I think he's going to do great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he really is.
I think he is nerdier than Sheik was. Looking at his stuff.
I disagree so hard because Lawrence Schick is one of the grandpappies of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh no, I know that, but
it's just a different generation, I think.
It's a different brand. See, Schick is more of a classy classic old guy nerd.
You're gonna die! Oh shit!
Oh shit!
What?
We got Sabrina in the background, so it's pretty intense.
And then Lehman Tuttle is a little more like us. We're just into all kinds of different things. I think I've seen him comment on like anime and stuff before.
Yeah.
He's a consumer nerd, right? Just like any of us are.
The thing that made me say it, is that I think his stuff, particularly Clockwork City, has more references to the weird lore than anything else.
Well, he wrote The Truth in Sequence, which basically makes him my favorite writer.
He also wrote a bunch of other cool stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure he wrote all those weird metaphysical books from Murkmire.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet.
Yeah.
Because they are all by the same author in game. Like most of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it might. Is that what was it? Like the tale of an adventure or something like that.
Yeah, the Children of the Root and some poems about cities.
Oh, Children of the Root. I have no doubt in my mind that was that.
Yeah, I gotta do Murkmire for sure. Does it have a lot of Sithis stuff in there? Well, I guess it must.
It has
some Sithis stuff.
It has good poems and lore books about cities.
There's a small quest related to an old priestess of Sithis waking up.
There's also lore about an ancient Anuic Argonians who used to fear cities. rather than worship him.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they also used to have an older concept of Sithis, where
Yeah,
it was
and
kind
they
of more the
built
concept that
stone,
the Dark Brotherhood holds, where Sithis is effectively just the god of death.
and they feared cities, and they built, and these Argonians used to build stone pyramids and cities and
Yeah,
temples because
they used to build Zanmirs that would be used as sacrificial grounds to worship Sithis.
they wanted to be like stone. They wanted to be unchanging because they fear change.
Yeah.
But now the Argonians live in mud.
Is that like? I guess that's what ties them to being like the Mayans, the ancient Mayan
Yeah,
art.
the ancient Argonians were very Mayan.
Sort of.
A little bit,
Their
yes.
aesthetics look pretty Mayan.
Well,
Yeah,
I was going to
that's
say
what I
their
mean too.
aesthetics look more Aztec to me, but the reason I say that is because the Mayans also weren't as big into sacrifice as the Aztecs were.
I mean, I was using both
Maybe I'm mixing them
interchangeably,
up.
which
I
I
mean-
know is wrong.
I mean, clearly, aesthetically, there is a Central American civilization kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I meant.
Inca, Maya, Aztec, Toltec. They're
Olmec.
all they're all kind of
The
there.
guys that built pyramids in
Yeah.
the jungles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think culturally, they're almost closer to like a Native American, like Northern American.
Maybe
guess
a bit
pagan.
South American.
Very pagan.
Yeah. I guess
Well,
it's-
if anything, I would say
paganism.
maybe look at the Coal-Takens. The
Right.
reason I say that is because the Coal-Takens, they're a Native American group in South Texas and northern Mexico.
But where are they taking that coal?
Andrew, one of these days I'm going to figure out how to slap you from across the internet.
Imagine my poor wife who has to deal with this every day.
Anyway, yeah, no, Coal-Takens, Kickapoo, trying to think of a few others. I'm trying to think of ones that aren't in New Mexico or Arizona, primarily because those groups
Well, we
didn't live
got the
closer to
Ponderay
jungles.
tribe. Ponderay tribe is around here. Kalispell tribe. We got the Spokane tribe. We've got what's that reservation way up there? It's not Kalispell. It's I can't remember. But we got a lot of reservations around here.
And I'm from Canada, so I think the village I live in is about 50% Native American. Well, Native Canadian, I guess. But
I mean, Canada's
very cool.
still part of America as a continent.
Yeah, definitely.
By the way, to any of you who may not know, yeah, this semester I've been taking an anthropology class. It's Indians of North America, where we've been covering primarily the Native American groups in the continental U.S. and Canada. But even then, not much of Canada. It's mostly been Native American groups from Canada who also have standing in the U.S. or are otherwise more widely known, like the Aleut, the Inuits, the crap, I can't think of a sub-origin group. I'm sorry.
Hey, Silverama, what's up?
Hi, Silverama.
So I don't know.
Hello.
I don't know if you want to ask a question verbally, if you want to type it, whatever you're comfortable with. Because that's what we like to do. We like to give the floor to newer folks to our stream and let you kind of guide conversation. Because we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We're casual. We don't really have a plan. We're not rotten deadites, so.
I mean, even he doesn't have a plan. It's good at faking.
Well, I mean, we do determine beforehand what we're going to talk about, and then kind of in our heads we go, okay,
Well, we try to.
we'll talk about this, that, the other thing. Well, I'm talking about the selectives. So,
Oh, yeah.
So like this
Right.
morning we talked about Riemann, and
It was really cool.
I have to listen to more of that. That'll expand my knowledge.
and I know so little about Riemann.
Oh, I would love to talk more about it because nobody talked about the roleplay thread, which I think is some of it.
Well, I think you mentioned it, and I think we looked, or I think Chris looked for it.
Yeah, briefly looked for it, and I linked it on the chat on Twitch.
Yeah, we might have gotten distracted on something else. So, Silverama, Ryan, is there anything you want to talk about specifically? Anything you're curious about? And I mean, one of the things that I stress is there is no topic too small. There is no stupid question. You can't. This is a learning process for everybody. So, I mean, if you have something you want to discuss, lay it on us, and we will approach it tactfully and with as much detail as we possibly can.
No pressure though.
No pressure. Yeah, you got anything for us, Silverama? My own list.
I got one thing to ask.
Okay. All right.
Can we talk about flying whales?
Flying whales.
Sure.
Yes, we can.
Good.
I love the flying whales.
I
They're
know
supposed
nothing
to be
about it.
recurring, right?
What's that?
I hope they make it into ESO.
I would love that.
So is
the
that a
great
metaphysical
story.
thing or a real thing?
They literally flying whales that
Yeah,
exist in Skyrim.
I mean,
Yes, it was whales that do indeed fly.
what is real in the realm of fiction? I mean,
No.
You know what they meant.
they've been described in a document. It is not in game. It is not endorsed by Bethesda at all.
It's a.
Well, they
this
got the
document
whales
is-
in
This
Skyrim.
document, yeah, we get whale bones, but not living whales.
Yeah. No, they skimped on a lot of that stuff. I think there was a possibility that it could have been added, but because they wanted to stick to the 11/11/11 date, they lost a bunch of stuff.
I mean,
Damn.
Morrowind. If you look at Morrowind and compare to what it was supposed to be, it's like literally nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
There's going to be slowed airship stations
yeah. Give me my
in the game.
code.
Ooh, airships. That's cool.
There actually is an airship in the Blood Moon expansion. That,
Yeah, crashed
you're-
airship.
Yeah,
you're
but
supposed to go find
they were supposed to be a method of transportation that you could use in game.
it. Yeah.
So I guess what's the text that talks about flying whales?
It's the 7 fights of the Aldudaga, which are
Yeah.
a very bad in-universe translation of an old Nordic oral tradition story.
Yeah, I'll do Douglas. Which is
Interesting.
And because of this, the characters swear like sailors because the translation is awful. So if you ever wanted to see Alduin say, "You stupid little shit," there you go.
Yeah. But the snow whales in particular, they were referenced in 7 fights of the Aldudaga, and they were they're basically whales that live up in the mountains, and they fly around and they spout literal cocaine
What?
out of their blowholes. According to Kirkbride, it was cocaine, and it's like powdered.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
the
like
Elder Scrolls
powdered
equivalent
joy
of
or
cocaine.
something. Is what
Interesting.
They snort like no big joy snow, which is like a
Yeah. So the only way to get out from the effects of this cocaine, wait, they had to use wasabi, and so they had to like eat wasabi because it's like, oh,
What?
kick him out of that euphoric state.
Gee. Well, that's kind of
Nords.
cool.
The Nords, wasabi is a very big Nordic Nordic aspect that is often overlooked.
Yeah.
Yes, the oft overlooked of the Eastern god Wasabi.
Well, one and it's something that they used to fight the Saesi, if I recall. of their blades in Masada.
Yeah, they put
So the whales that we see on the
on their
symbols
swords
in the
and shields
game,
because
like on the
Stacy are
using the claws to open doors, using those whale things, are those supposed to be flying whales or just regular whales?
we don't
Flying
know. They
whales.
don't specify.
Yeah, I mean,
You
Like,
know the whalebone bridge.
well,
You know, I imagine that the whalebone bridge is made of the bones of a flying whale.
Your phone's beeping.
Oh, what?
yeah. So here's the thing with that. I feel that the best way to describe it is that they are indeed flying whales, but that does not necessarily mean that they have wings. Rather, physically, they probably look just like whales. It just happens that they're able to fly.
I imagine a very alien design. I'm going to lie there.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Silence has the right of it here. The whalebone bridge is made from stone. So Sun, he guards the bridge, and Stun is the bridge.
I have no idea how that works, and I don't know the source for that.
Well,
Wait,
I'd love to learn more about it.
That's saying that soon, or wait, were you saying soon is the bridge or Stoon is the bridge?
Stun, not Soon.
is the bridge. Yeah.
So Stendar became a
Soon.
bone bridge. Okay, cool.
Well, whales.
And Soon is 3D Mac.
The whale is a symbol of Stun.
Ah, I see.
That's
Is
one
the
of the
top.
things.
The top
Wait,
is,
okay,
right?
so now, all right, so here's a question I feel that needs asking. How is he a symbol of Stun?
Nordic totemic religion.
No. I get that, but I mean, why was the whale chosen for the god of prisoners of
Stun,
war
It's
or prisoner ransom? I guess.
Let me.
Why a whale?
Let me find it.
Some ancient metaphysical reason lost to time.
That's
No.
bullshit.
It's all symbolism. Symbolism.
Yeah, like I get that it's symbolism, so I'm curious as to what the symbolism would be.
the symbols for the Nordic religion is very interesting. Like Hermeus Mora is a hare, it's a bunny,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah, because Soon is a bear.
Silence. I would like to point out that a whale eating a person isn't necessarily just a Pinocchio reference. that is indeed a Bible reference.
Yeah, because a lot of that comes from Shore, son of Shore, I think.
Yeah, no, like,
Which
okay, so
at one point I had wondered if there was a connection between Stun and Sotha Sil because of that connection with water.
okay, so here's something I just thought of due to what Sounds of Autumn pointed out. Considering it a Pinocchio reference and specifically the reference to Pinocchio getting eaten by a whale, which in itself is a reference to the story of Jonah and the whale. Well, Stun is effectively the god of ransom. He is the god of prisoner ransom. So I guess the symbolism there could be the whale is chosen because they might have some story about how a great fish, in this case a whale, would hold the prisoners, but he would never digest them. He would spit them back out.
I like that. It makes sense.
It's still silly.
Let's see. Well,
Nords are silly.
I mean, there's some confusion whether Soon is the whale and Stun is the bear, or vice versa.
I'm pretty sure that Soon is the bear.
Well, I mean, it's been stated both ways in the past.
That's because they're mirrors. They're brothers.
That reminds me. I need to look up. I need to look at Soon's thing because I'm pretty sure Soon is the Nordic aspect of Zenithar, but
no, Soon is the Nordic version of 3D Mac. You can reach some.
Soon, Nordic god of trials against adversity. Soon is the Nordic god of trials against adversity. He died defending shore from foreign gods. Soon and his brother Stun were both.
Okay.
Soon and his brother Stun. Soon and his brother Stoon were both... Jesus. Soon and his brother...
Are you okay?
I'm trying to read this out for the people who may watch this in the future. And anyway, Soon and his brother Stoon were both shield thanes of Thor of Shore. He currently guards the Whalebone Bridge to the Hall of Valor in Sovngarde. At Shore's bidding, he has taken on the role of the Master of Trials, asking new arrivals to the Utopia to prove their strength in combat against him before they can enter the hall. Okay, so I believe him being referred to as the Nordic god of trials against adversity is what adds a lot of the credence to him being the Nordic equivalent to Stennar or Zenithar.
I disagree with that, but I know why people think it, because people also associate Trinimac with Zenithar, which I don't get at all.
No. Because Zenithar and Trinimac are two different gods, even within the Altmer pantheon.
Yeah, there's Zen, there's Shem.
Yes, Zen and Trinimac. But the thing is, Zen is the god of toil. And Zenithar is the god of work and commerce, the trader god, and again, a god of toil.
Okay, but have you read the Shor, Son of Shor?
No, I have not read Shor, Son of Shor.
Should, because it directly links Sun and Trinimac. In the story, Sun is presented as being Shor shield thing.
And you don't believe that the Nordic pantheon would just combine two gods into one?
No, because
even though the Altmer pantheon combined two gods into one.
Let me talk. Auriel is in the story as Ald, and he also has a shield thing called Trinimac, and the text directly compares both in personality and role. And in one place, and in one moment, Sun turns into Trinimac.
Okay, so here is my rebuttal to that. Of you saying that the Nordic pantheon wouldn't combine the aspects of two gods into one. Alright.
I didn't say that.
So then why did you say no when I asked you so the Nordic pantheon wouldn't just combine two gods into one?
No, I said no to the idea that Sun is the Nordic version of Zenithar.
He's the Nordic version of Zenithar and Trinimac.
Yeah, but that's complicated.
I think the point here is that you can't compare two different pantheons and create one-to-one comparison.
Yeah, I mean, hell, the point I was going to bring up is to look at Jeffrey from the Altmer pantheon. Jeffrey is the equivalent of both Dibella and Kinnereth. Like that is Jeffrey's role. He is both, and he or she is both Dibella and Kinnereth.
Sorry,
and Ifri.
Jeffrey is Ifri.
Yes, and Ifri is both Dibella and Kinnereth.
But
Ifri both represents nature in the form that Kinnereth represents nature, but Ifri also represents music and art in the way that Dibella represents music and art.
So I'm gonna wheel us back to the bit about the whale.
Oh boy,
the almighty whale.
They're very blubbery.
The cocaine whale.
The source that I found, it's effectively Lady Nerevar saying yes in the original BGS document, the 2009 Nordic totemic religion, because there is more than what we get to see in her and Kirkbride's Tumblr. Because she had to edit it for fear of Bethesda getting mad. And she says that there is a justification for why Stoon, and because of Shore also Soon, is the whale. Because the two switch places in Shore. And so that's why there's confusion about it. She says she can't really explain what the justification is, but that there is a justification for it. and that what was posted in that Nordic totemic religion thing, they shouldn't have done that much even, but it was too cool not to share, so that's what they did, and they trimmed out what they felt they could. So that's really that's pretty much why we can't get any definitive answer on that.
Or until they put it in game.
So purposefully ambiguous for the moment.
Yeah, because they never actually employed the entirety of the Nordic totemic religion in the game. A lot of it got scrapped.
So used a lot of it actually.
Yeah, but but some of the symbols they managed to stick around. That's why the puzzles in Barrows, they require you rotate the little pillars with, you've got the hawk on one side and then the whale on another and a snake on another. Well, the hawk is Kinnereth, the whale is Stune, and the snake is Shore.
No, the snake is Orky. Shore is a fox.
Yeah, Orky. That's right. And then the owl is Junal.
Which is a thing in ESO. They bring up that a lot.
Yeah, they do on is that Bleakrock Isle where you do that?
I don't know, but in ESO they bring up the totems and their symbols a lot more than Skyrim actually.
Yeah, which is a shame. But I know that doesn't really answer the why. I mean, we can speculate a little bit. And I mean, I'm not terribly well versed.
Speaking of Sue and Stoom, there's supposedly one of Isgramor's sons. Isgramor is another whole can of worms. I don't know if I want to get into.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
Isgramor
lying to make himself look cooler.
No, it's from the 500 Companions book.
I feel like that might be fan fiction at that point. Like,
yeah,
Or just
right,
mythology within the game.
Oh,
like,
I mean,
that's one of those cases of it's really weird to refer to it as fan fiction, but
I'm
in this
a
context,
fan. I'm a fan of the Trans-Catholic world eating Nords.
Same. I love that.
See, that's why I hate Nords. They're gonna eat my crops. I need to get rid of them.
Because and I don't know, there's something about that just appeals to me. Oh well, they left and they came back and suddenly they were dragons, and they kept a lot of their names, but suddenly they're dragon names, and what does Isgramor turn into? Like is Gramalax or something like that? I thought that was cool as hell.
That's an ESO you're talking?
No, this is an OOG source.
Okay.
Also Kirkbride, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
500 or thereabouts companions. 500 mighty companions or thereabouts of Isgramor the Returned. So let's see. It's like in the very last chunk. When they came back, Isgramor became Ismalathax. Let's see, with the Morag broken, Morag being the stone. No. Morag is stone, right? No, it's Molag. Never mind. With the Morag broken and sent to the eastern slush, we finally caught sight of the Snowthroat and knew that our journey was near its end again. The World Eaters waking that broke shore, first shouting our victory and doom, whose boat thane was Ismalathax the Northerly Dragon, his first clutched sons, Sunalafaxtir and Stun Unahazlifanal Fafnal.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning.
Yeah.
That's the first line of the book.
Yeah.
The first of Isgramor's 500 mighty companions was actually two. The ashen amalgamations of his sons that had survived Sartal, only to die in the freeze rains of the returning, named Sunatlir and Stunalir when alive, and now called the great prince Sunal.
Yeah, I mean,
that's There's a lot right there.
I haven't read this in its entirety in a long time.
It has so many cool references. It mentions Magna Gi, it mentions Kalpas, it talks about Jews for a while.
Yeah.
It mentions a guy who's so fast he could run from Atmora to Skyrim in the span of a hiccup. It mentions a guy whose beard became a mountain.
Yeah, that's kind of dope. Mountain beard.
Which is very mythological.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's meant to be impossible.
That's awesome. I'm all about that stuff.
It includes several references to forum members alongside those to lore personages.
Yeah, it's like the Isgramor's companions are the greatest heroes across time, and they're fighting there in the history of Ben, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the idea that Atmora is the mannish version of the Dawn, and Isgramor fought alongside Shor, which is from the Five Songs of Wolfheart. It's specifically. Go on.
The difference between Atmora and Aldmeris is that Atmora is actually a place, whereas Aldmeris is not.
I mean, I like the idea that Atmora is a place without time, which is why it's frozen. Mm-hmm. Similarly, Aldmeris is a time without a place.
If you combine them together, you get a really subpar video game.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
That makes sense.
Aldmeris is the domain of Auriel, of the god of time. Atmora is the domain of Lorcan of Shor, the god of space. And they are only one. They don't have the other.
No.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I like that too. Of course, if Jonathan were in here, he'd be yelling at me because he'd say, "Well, Aldmeris is just Tamriel."
No.
And I mean,
no, it's the memory of the time before Tamriel.
To an extent, he has a point.
It's the Dawn era where all lands were one.
It's Dawn era Tamriel, is his point.
And however,
it's a good view.
I was going to say that when we think of Dawn era Tamriel, you need to understand that Dawn era Tamriel probably looked absolutely nothing like modern Tamriel.
Yeah, it was like Pangea, all lands.
Probably looked like how it did in Arena.
Yeah. Hey, we probably had fighters everywhere. See, I kind of like it when we get tiny little references to Arena, like the Blackcaster Mages Guild in ESO.
ESO is full of the Wrathstone is the Arena lore.
Yeah. That being said, it kind of pisses me off that we can't join the Blackcasters. It just pisses me off, not necessarily because it should piss me off, but just because I'm kind of upset because it would be a cool group to join.
But yeah, Isgramor is a figure that fascinates me because he is so far back in history. Let's go back to what was being talked in the Riemann cast, because he's so far back in history that literally nothing about him is clear. He could have been just a guy. He could have been an Izmir. He could have been a Shezarin. He could have been a dragon that became a human. Who knows? Maybe he was the last dragonborn of the past Kalpa. I just think it's cool.
He was just the ultimate human. And I always say that just to have fun.
Did you guys see the post that reminds me, since we're speaking of Nordic heroes, did you guys see that it was a really great Tesla post that pointed out the similarities between the battle between Olaf and Numinex and the much larger battle between Akatosh and Lorcan.
I did not see that. Which
I'm going to link it.
is it recent?
It's very recent and I've loved it. King Olaf's verse. Here. Very short. I linked it in the chat.
Oh, this is a month ago. Okay. Yeah, so I must have missed this.
Give it a read to the people listening.
All right.
Yeah, and I see your comment there, Matt.
Yeah.
This is all very interesting. I'm just gonna go grab a vodka soda, I guess it's called. But then I'll have a topic for afterwards. But I'm still listening to this interesting for now. I'll be right back.
Sure.
This cheese is so good. I'm very happy. It was like a $9 block of cheese, but
We got some really good cheese today here at my home too.
yeah. And you're in Brazil, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably nothing like yours.
Oh, this is from. What the fuck is this from?
I put a post in the call chat.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, good God.
This is cheese from Norway.
Orion, are
Who
you
the hell
feeling all
said
right?
that?
Or was that a voice changer?
I don't know if it's a
Probably.
voice changer or if you might have a. I forget the name of the thing. It's a thing
Was-
for lung cancer.
Maybe he was just faking the voice. Hopefully.
If it is his real voice, it's fine. You know, make fun of people.
It's very bad to make fun of people, but no.
It's okay to
when
make
we first
fun of
showed-
Nords, though. They're not people.
Okay, I got a joke for you.
Hey, I'm a Nord. IRL.
What do you call someone who's blind, deaf, and has no arms and no legs?
What?
Names. Anyway,
What do you call a guy with no arms or no legs and who's in a pool?
Bob. What do you call a man with no arms, no legs, who's sitting in front of the door?
Matt.
Matt? Yeah? What do you call a man with no arms, no legs, sitting next to a hole?
What?
Doug. What do you call a man with no arms, no legs, who's in the hole?
Phil.
Phil. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what the hell is happening?
Dad jokes.
Yeah.
Switching the topic to dad jokes.
I'm fine with that.
I have some really bad Helen Keller jokes, but let's not.
I guess, can we switch the topic at this point?
Sure.
All right.
Bring something up.
I got
If I'm
question.
telling random jokes, then that's usually a pretty good
it's a
sign.
good cue.
Yeah.
I just got a question about Scar, the giant emperor crab from Aldrun,
Oh, we love that.
or Aldrun. I always forget which way, but
Aldrun, yeah. It's from
Yeah.
Aldrun.
so was he like? So is there any
He
link
was a-
between them and the Droog or Droog? I
No.
forget.
The drag.
Dreg.
Because I was looking up.
I said Droog, but some people say Drag. I don't.
There's conflicting legends that say the Dreg or Droog once ruled the world as tyrants with Molech Bal as
They
their
did.
Yeah, but the Scar has nothing to do with that. He's
damn it.
just a giant bug kaiju.
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, he's a
that-
giant mud.
Hold on. I got
Call,
some hot takes here.
All right.
Go on.
So the drag with Molech Bal, that was a previous Kalpa thing. That was something that happened, last version of reality. or
But
one of the previous versions.
you can fight an aspect of the Ruddy Man in
Oh.
ESO Morrowind.
Oh yeah, well,
Sorta. They
Yeah,
speculate that it's that.
because back then that was the true Ruddy Man. And then the Ruddy Man, at some point when the Kalpa changed, he was split into multiple parts. One being the shell of his former self, which is the Ruddy Man's carapace, and the other being Molag Bal himself. So if Molag Bal were to take up that carapace, you'd have the actual Ruddy Man back. And so the thing with the carapace is it can kind of take over its host. So a kid found the carapace once and put it on because he wanted to play a joke on like his town or whatever, and it turned him into a monster. And I think Vivek had to come and kill him.
Yeah.
And so
and their fight created a canyon valley.
yeah. So yeah, that Ruddy Man is weird. But yeah, the drag happened, a long time ago. Now, Old Scar, I think the emperor crabs used to live in the sea. And how it got that far inland to Vardenfell, I have no idea. But there is a quest in Vardenfell in ESO where you talk to a guy whose ancestor was the one who delivered the killing blow to the crab with a spear.
Which must have been awesome.
I was just doing that quest. That's actually what led me to this question.
Yeah. And interesting thing to note, the legs of the crab are still there in ESO, but then by the time we get to Third Era 427, the legs are gone. We just have the main body shell.
Maybe it was just limitation.
It could be. It could be.
I was gonna say that at that point, when you get to the fact that they didn't have the legs in the actual Morrowind, but then in ESO you have the legs, it's probably, you can probably just describe that as, oh, the legs used to be there, but they've used all the chitin by now.
Well, yeah, no, I think maybe the legs were cut off and then reappropriated. You see those guard towers? Those are long and spindly, aren't they? Yeah, so the two are not related at all, but Telvanni architecture may have been learned from the Dreg. Or Billy's, as I like to.
Like the mushrooms towers?
Yeah, that could be a
They
drag.
look so ugly.
The dregs
in
still have
ESO.
the dregs are still have a society, right? Like
No, not really.
I mean, they're
according to
they're kind of portrayed as like beasts.
Kind of like minotaurs they once were.
Well, Minotaurs,
Well,
I would say, absolutely do have a culture.
that
Yeah, because
that-
they still speak, they still interact with people, but the Dreg kind of more act like wild animals.
yeah, but there's an NPC in Oblivion who mentions the Trident Kings of the Drug.
Mm,
And there's like no further elaboration on that.
yeah, that guy could very well just be screwing with you.
Yeah, I mean,
she says that Vivek made an alliance with them.
I am open to the idea of there being a dreg society under the waves. I mean,
Yeah, but the drag, I think, my take is that the drag that we see in game are like the more savage ones.
Well, we see the land Dreg in game, we never really see the sea Dreg.
I
And
think we do
Morrowind,
in Morrowind.
Morrowind we do, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about in ESO.
We do have we do fight the Ruddy Queen in ESO, which is like a giant, uber powerful drag that looks like Molag Bal but is female.
The House Dunmer say it's the Ruddy Man, and then the Ashlanders are like, no, it's not.
Bullshit.
And then you can talk to an armiger, and he speculates maybe he's a piece from the same fabric that the Ruddy Man's cloth was cut from. Which I like it. I like the sound of that. It sounds.
That's actually a pretty dope silence. Okay, so Silverama just gave me a question here. Why isn't there a god of seas?
There is. It's called Hermaeus Mora.
Well, the Hermaeus Mora, I would say that Azura counts. Sothasil counts.
Counts. There's more. There's a little bit. There's probably an Yokudan god of seas.
Oh, definitely. The Yokudans have a god of we have too many gods. So
there's a god. They have a god of we like our bodies the way they are.
Okay, I would like to point out
maybe have a god too for that. Maybe.
I would like to point out that while the Yokudans have a god for we have too many gods, it would be the peak level of irony that they still don't have a sea god.
That would, yeah.
That would just be the absolute most hilarious and most Yokudan thing ever. We have too many gods. What about a sea god? What about a sea god?
We do know there is a demi-prince of fishing.
Yeah.
Cool. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Hermaeus Mora, Azura, and Sothasil. I mean, those are really the main. I mean, Sothasil is, I think, called Lord of the Seas.
He supposedly has clockwork castles of coral under the seas.
Yeah, and so that, if Vivek is Lord of the Middle Air, Sothasil is like God of the Seas.
And Almalexia is the Queen of the Stars, something like that.
Yeah, but Hermaeus Mora, who's like part of his sphere, is scrying the tides of fate.
There's also the Hermora, you are the tides. For who can know when the tides rise and when the moon changes, something like that. It's from the stories of.
Also Thras. But that's just that's just up here. If you like my canon, then you can do whatever you want with it. But Thras and Hermaeus Mora are two gods of knowledge who
knowledge and memory.
Yep, knowledge, memory, and the seas.
Also,
there's a book.
Just gonna say, how about Master and Sukunda? Would they affect the tides at all?
I literally just mentioned that.
Sorry.
The Kajiri creation myth talks about how Hermora, as they call Hermaeus Mora, is the tides, and therefore he is linked to the lattice.
Yeah. And then Azura, because the moon, moon and star, and she also has to do with memory, particularly memory going the other way. So prophecy. That's how she has to do with water.
There's at least one account of Nordic pirates throwing bodies of their enemies into the sea as offerings for Hermaeus Mora, because they believe that his tentacles will literally grab the bodies and pull them into the depths of the sea, and that by doing that they won't be pulled themselves.
Meanwhile, Hermaeus Mora laughs in Eldritch.
Yeah, I also call Hermaeus Mora the driftwood man, so that's a thing too. There was another question that Silverama asked. So water is memory after all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and this has been confirmed by. It's not Lyrith Foolkiller. It's another Dremora.
There's a lot of water is memory with the Hist.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ultimate stuff that reinforces it. There's Hermaeus Mora.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff about water equal memory that it's not even a question.
Yeah. And so really what it boils down to is, I mean, let's talk about the soul really quick.
I love souls. How souls work in Elder Scrolls.
The soul is really divided into two parts. So we've got the animus. This is the energy, the force that allows you to get up and move. That's what keeps you alive. And then the AE, that is the self. but the AE is divided itself into two parts. So you've got the memory and then the rest of the self. And so when you die, part of your AE may exist.
There's also the shadow, which is a very Jungian thing.
Yeah, which I think that's I think that may be part of what did I determine that was? That's like a major part of the animus.
Yeah, it's a major part of the animus.
It's the energy. And so when that leaves, that's why Diveth Fear's power is so weakened. He doesn't have that energy of his animus to rely on.
There's a poem in Neo that literally says, Animus is the fuel of the mind. This exact line.
Yeah. And so when someone dies, their memories are recycled and they come back to Nirn in the form of water. So water literally is memory. In the same way, the azure plasm that we see in Cold Harbor is the memory of the Daedra. So they reform from the amber plasm and create a new body from that. They are their memory. So that's why they can't be killed. You kill them, they come back, they retain their memories, and they just kind of go on doing their thing. Unless you kill them in Aetherius, and that would kill them forever for some reason.
Because then we get into Adrons and Daedrons. The building blocks of creation that make up souls.
Yeah. And on top of that, we've got water as memory. We've got stone as history. And then sand. There was something about sand. Oh, ice is truth. Because ice is like water made stone. And sand is like stone made water. So I don't remember if that's.
Again, the Argonians who used to live in pyramids and now live in mud.
Yeah, so I mean, mud is kind of a combination of, I guess, stone and water.
Was it the stone thing or the ice thing that we were discussing? That was something that isn't actually set in stone. Hey, but was more something that you just sort of thought up but didn't really have much of a basis for.
Was that you I was arguing with in Tesla, or someone was arguing with me about?
No, it wasn't in Tesla. We talked about this on Lorecast, either during the Lorecast or after the cast.
Well, someone was arguing with me. It was like, oh, well, how come bone isn't history? I was like, I don't know. I don't control what the symbols mean. I can just point out what the symbols.
Because as a general rule, most of these things will be inorganic, with the exception of, I believe, wood. But I'm trying to remember what I described wood as being.
Yeah, which I mean,
there's a poem about the hist in. Yeah, so.
Oh wait, no, I remember what I described wood as. Wood is.
Let Matt finish.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There's a poem about the hist in so that very much talks about how the hist live off of memory in the waters.
Yeah.
And stories.
All rivers flow to Black Marsh.
No, it's not that one. I just linked it.
Oh,
a shallow pool.
It's told from the perspective of a hist.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm of the mind that the hist, each individual hist, is its own self-contained dream slave.
Yeah. All right. So, you know how you said stone is truth and water is memory?
No, a stone is history.
Stone is history and water is memory.
Yeah.
I want to say that my thought on that was that therefore water is the memory of the past.
And what does that say about?
No. Sorry, I misspoke. Wood is the memory of the past.
Wouldn't all memory be the memory of the past? No.
Not necessarily. This is the test. You can have memory of the future.
Yeah.
But it's more like wood is more like the uncorrupted memory. Because when you just have water and water is memory, and you start combining water together, well, eventually memory is going to become muddled. On the other hand, in the case of wood, yes, it is part water, but is self-contained in the quote-unquote stone, which would be its solid form in the form of the pulp and the wood and the plant cells. So by extension, while it is history, it is a history that maintains its shape. Or rather, it's a history that maintains its shape, but allows memory to pass through it.
Yes.
And I recall bringing that
don't
up.
get how.
I recall bringing that up when I was discussing the Bosmer,
What's
specifically the spinners.
Matt, what is it?
So,
Okay.
about the soul, what the AE is. You say that the AE is.
It's what makes you you and not me.
Yeah, I get that because AE literally means is.
Yes, it is what makes you exist as you, and not as.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to. I'm nearly waking people up here.
Okay. Did you hear my explanation?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll repeat it just for posterity. So the AE, which in Elnifex, AE means is, are. It is an affirmative statement. It's an affirmation. And so, yes, Matt, that's cool if you ask questions on Discord. That's fine. So AE, your AE, it is what makes you exist because of your AE. Without your AE, you would be without an identity. You would be some body laying here, breathing, comatose. We don't know who this guy is, and so we're so when someone dies, by the way, when someone dies, there's percent of the animus, the AE remains. The AE, as far as I understand, the AE kind of floats around the dream sleeve. Now, how that interacts with the afterlife that they are perceiving, whether it's Sovngarde, whether they're in the Hircine's Pridelands, whether they're in the Fields of Regret, wherever they are, I'm not sure how that works. Either way, they end up in the dream sleeve. That is the be all end all. That is where souls go. Yes, soul gems only use the animus. But the AE floats around, and then in many cases it can be reincarnated. For example, in Nerevar, Azura, for some reason or another, either she directly influenced it so that this AE keeps coming back, or she knew it would come back because that's what AEs do. They kind of, that kind of a Mormon theology kind of thing. So angels coming down to live as human beings and experience mortality. Just doing that over and over again. That would be what the AE does. So Nerevar, who has been reincarnated several times, but hasn't been able to follow the right path yet to actually fulfill his destiny. He dies, or she dies, in the case of Peakstar and Anturia. They die, AE goes back up, floats around for a little bit, comes back down, and enters your Nerevarine.
And Chodala and ESO.
Yep, Conan and Chodala. Let's say similar soul gems use the animus. Because I personally believe very thelemic view of souls work no scrolls. I associate AE with the original spirits and the Crowley concept of the star. I can see that. Can you describe the star a little better? I'll read it aloud.
Sure, I can probably take a definition.
Yeah, the remade Maker Cameron, being Mankar, the stars. Oh yeah, no, there's Crowley all over. Anything MK touches, there's pretty much some Crowley hidden in there.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but let me jump back to Silverama here.
There's MK loves loves Telema and Crowley.
Yeah.
He probably, I think he follows Telema. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I feel bad I haven't finished Coda yet. I oughta. And the Khajiit Coda. And the Sloda. All of them.
I'm glad you like Sloda. Although I'm at the point now where I feel like there are things I need to change or fix.
No, I mean I haven't read it yet. I feel bad I haven't. And the Khajiit. And I haven't even seen the original one yet.
It's like 40 something pages long, so I don't blame you.
I'll get around to it.
That's actually probably the longest piece of fiction I ever wrote. Sloda. Yeah, exactly.
I can probably quote. I can send you some quotes from Crowley himself about the starting.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and do that in Discord. I'm going to read what Silence says here. So Silence says each Nerevarine is the AE of Nerevar without his memory. Absolutely. Which is why each Nerevarine has their own story. 100% agree. Because they're the same person, they're the same identity, but they have their own collection of memories that also shapes who they are. So while they have the core identity of Nerevar, they themselves are not Nerevar, and so they follow a different path based on their worldly experiences or whatever.
And the unfortunate part is that because they do not do the exact same thing as Nerevar, because all the failed incarnates did not actually succeed in following the prophecy, that leads to a lot of people saying, "Oh, they aren't really the reincarnation of Nerevar because they didn't fulfill the prophecy."
Yeah.
Even though the reason they're called failed incarnates is because they are incarnates of Nerevar, but they just didn't finish it.
Yeah, they didn't have it as easy as in Morrowind when it really sets himself up to be the guy.
You talk to each of the failed incarnates, and they tell you, I was not the one.
Yeah.
Many fall, but one remains. Many have tried. Many have been Nerevar, but you're the one that sticks around because you are the Nerevarine. You're the one that who wears the moon and star. You're the one that you unite the houses and the tribe.
Yeah. You got to listen to those wise women.
You've stood before the false gods and freed the heart from its prison. You are the Nerevarine.
I got a quick question. Do we have what's your guys' opinion on Vivek's outcome after Morrowind? Do you think he dies or lives on to stop
I think he fucks
a
off
meteor?
somewhere else.
I heard a good theory that he may have stayed long enough to stop Bardal from crashing down, giving his people a little bit of time.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with that theory.
I mean, Bardal still crashed down in the end.
But he kind of stopped it for a bit. Didn't it slowly come down?
Well, that's the thing. Even in ESO Morrowind, when he loses power, it's still moving somewhat slowly.
Well, it maintained its inertia. That was the thing. It still had that potential energy from the fall it already took. Just because it stopped physically
Kind of froze it in
doesn't
time.
mean the energy stopped. So
He froze it in time. He did.
yeah. So here, Matt shared a quote from Crowley.
No, I'm not finished yet.
Not finished yet? Okay. So you want me to wait on that?
Yeah, it's kind of complicated.
Okay.
So
Okay. You go ahead and do that, and then I'll approach that when we've come to a lull.
Yeah, the ancestor ghost of Vivek could be quite powerful still, as Darth just pointed out.
But you asked what happened. What I think happens to the Nerevarine,
or to Vivek.
Oh, to Vivek.
Yeah.
Well, I think Vivek spends a lot of time in the provisional house, trying to make things right. I mean, unless of course you kill him, in which case I don't think you can kill Vivek. I think you can kill his mortal form, and then he can just kind of pop back. Just because we don't see him doesn't mean that he isn't back somewhere else. Because there's also at the very early in the third era, there's Vivek's fight with Cyrus the Restless, so we know that Vivek can end up in Yokuda. It just happens. Just because he doesn't reappear right where you killed him doesn't mean he's not.
Yeah.
You know, people like to argue with whether he had Kim or not, and once you have Kim, you are the dreamer. You cannot be removed from your dream. It's your dream. It's in your head. Removing you from the dream is like that's having an idea without a brain. It just you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. It's my belief he did, for sure.
Yeah, but it's we know it's clear. So as far as the official timeline's concerned, he tried to hold up Bardal as long as possible while his power from the heart faded. And there was the Ingenium was put into place. You had to feed the Ingenium souls, and the souls basically held Bardal up. And
unfortunately, one of the people who got sacrificed was one of the brothers' fiance.
Well, his wife.
Yeah, it was his. That's right, it was his wife.
Yeah.
So he took her soul back out because he's an idiot who can't follow his own contract.
Yeah, and then that caused Bardal to fall. Red Year happens, and then we have the Umbriel crisis too.
Yeah.
So once again, the Dunmer failed to keep Vardenfell active.
Yeah,
they're hardy people. They'll be okay.
just like the memes that came out after Super Best Friends ended, the Dunmer once again failed to keep a threesome going.
I am of the mind that Vivek allowed Bardal to fall.
To keep the people strong.
No, because all these people, they are meaningless. They are parts of a dream. Their lives ultimately don't matter, but Amaranth matters. So I'm going to do what I have to do to get to the point where I can help achieve Amaranth. So by allowing Bardal to fall, that sets in motion the events that lead to landfall, and then the marriage to Jubal, and then Amaranth happens. Hey, we have Akavir, which I think is Vivek's whole goal. Vivek wants to be, wants to be everything, and he can't do that until he is everything, until he is the universe. That's Amaranth.
Yeah, for the greater good of things.
Well,
for
his own personal fulfillment. Vivek is a deeply flawed individual, and so as Sothasil says, Vivek wants to be all things at all times. He wants to be male, he wants to be female, he wants to be mortal, he wants to be divine, he wants to be a warrior, he wants to be a poet, he wants to be yellow, he wants to be blue. He cannot be all these things and Vivek at the same time.
Is Vivek a Sharmat?
Vivek is not. Is Vivek a Sharmat? Is that what you said?
Yes.
No, Vivek is not a Sharmat. Vivek is, as far as I'm concerned, Vivek is the dreamer's self-insert because of the fact. Well, the idea, because I'm 100% convinced that Vivek attained Kim, and Kim being a form of enlightenment / lucid dreaming. Vivek became the dreamer. Vivek is as much the dreamer as anyone is, and because he understands his connection, his synecdoche with the dreamer. Synecdoche is a poetic term to mean a small part standing in for the whole. So if I were to tell you, you die by my hand, well, my hand isn't the only thing killing you. I'm killing you, but my hand is standing in for me in that phrase. So Vivek is the same thing for the dreamer. Vivek stands in for the dreamer, now has control, in a manner of speaking, over the dream. It's not quite being the Sharmat, because being the Sharmat is trying to gather all things in the dream. Oh, I'm going to make it all me. That's you're me, this is me now. and we are all together under one house that is me. And so it's a similar thing, but a little different. Because one was already there. Realization, oh, I am the dreamer. We are one and the same. If I don't exist, then the dreamer doesn't exist. As has been described to me before, Kim is holding a gun to the dreamer's head and saying, "Look, motherfucker, if I go, you go." Whereas the Charmat is no, I want to be the dreamer now, so I'm gonna kind of take over everything until there's nothing left but me. It's Agent Smith. Agent Smith is the Charmat, whereas Neo is a dreamer. Well, I guess Neo is the Hortator, but whatever.
I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah, I like that with the hand analogy. That's very cool.
Yeah, well, funny enough, synecdoche is a poetic term. Matt, I'm gonna mute you here. Your typing's really loud. So you're typing to me anyway, so I'm just synecdoche is a poetic term. So it's used in poetry all the time. And if you if you read any Emily Dickinson or Faulkner, Faulkner isn't a poet, but Robert Frost.
I do not.
It's what is it? Romanticism. I think the Romantic poets, they use a lot of synecdoche in their writing. So
I'm finished.
And with Vivek, it's particularly appropriate because he is the warrior poet. So, funnily enough, I actually took a college class a couple years ago on poetry, and I learned a lot of things about poetry that I think apply to Vivek or can apply to Vivek. For example, the meter is measured in feet. Well, feet in Elder Scrolls is huge because that is the path that you take in your life. You cut off the feet, you are altering the path, right? Although feet can also be analogous to genitals from a biblical standpoint. So feet and if you look at actually something I noticed, if you look at almost any depiction of Vivek sitting in his lotus stance when he's floating up in the air, one foot is barely below the other. And it's always it would be his right foot is always below, right? So facing us, it's on the left. Stressed, unstressed. That is an iamb, I-A-M-B, an iamb, iambic pentameter is iamb, where it's it's a stressed syllable, unstressed syllable. I am also sounds an awful lot like I am, which is a major component of Kim.
Yep.
It's funny because the thing I wrote to you talks about Kim and other stuff.
Yeah, which I will. Are you done with that, Matt?
Yes.
Okay. So.
And I'll just wrap one thing around there. I guess when they kill Nerevar the first time, they also cut his feet off, trying to alter his path.
Yeah, that's foul murder. Yeah. So they cut off his feet, they cut off his face. And then they stab him through the chest. So removing his feet so that he can follow any path in a future life, cutting off his face so that he can be anyone, man or woman.
Or Khajiit.
Or Imperial, or Argonian, or Bosmer, or Altmer, or Dunmer, or...
That's cool. That makes more sense to me now.
Or Slode.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay, so...
And start from the part where I say, okay, so we'll explain stars.
Yeah, so this is Crowley's idea of what a star is, which I have a little thing I want to input here before I finish the whole thing. So Crowley says every man and every woman is a star. That's one of the first tenets of Thelema. And what exactly does this mean? Now, Emerson, the poet, he said that man is but a god in ruins. So
Yeah,
star god. They got some stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, and actually Emerson was the person who coined the term oversoul. So there's that.
Yeah, and go on.
So it means that much like stars are the center of their own system, with the heavenly bodies orbiting around them, every human is the star of their own microcosmic system. And as a star, every human is unique and has their own identity, because they are the center of their own universe. Stars are also self-luminous. They produce energy from themselves rather than take it from something else. Likewise, the star is the power of yourself, your will, your innermost divine self. Here's some direct quotes from Crowley. We are all free, all independent, all shining gloriously, each one a radiant world. A star is an individual entity. It radiates energy. It goes. It is a point of view. Its object is to become the whole by establishing relations with other stars. Each such relation is an event. It is an act of love under will. The star is your own inmost divine self. It is you and not another, who are lost in the constant rapture of the embraces of infinite beauty. So saying all that, consider how Michael Kirkbride lore uses stars to describe divine souls. I put a star into the world's mouth to murder it.
The Numidian is a walking star.
Yep.
Vivek is described as a star.
Yep.
Like a sense of self.
Yep.
Kim.
How Kim can mean starlight, and how AE is your innermost self, the thing that makes you who you are. AE is the star, the inner divine self of everyone.
Every man and every mer was once a star. We are talking about the Atada, the original state of the spirits.
More like Mormon stuff here.
I suppose. We do agree that the inhabitants of Tenriel are the subgradiated descendants or creations of the Etada, right?
Well, of the Atada, yeah. I was thinking Magna Gi, because the Magna Gi are literally what caused the stars. So
I'm talking about the Etada here. The Etada were weakened and subgradiated over and over until they became mortals, or so the story goes.
Jesus, so good.
Self, that's the AE. And when you reach Kim, you awaken to that AE, to your innermost self, to that star within you. You gain over it.
Yeah. So Johnny, you had another question you wanted to ask?
No.
No?
No, not at the moment. But I will take this moment to get another vodka soda. I'll be right back.
Let's see. So there were some from Soap Rama that I didn't get the opportunity to get to. Wow, it's 10 already. There's a bit in the Cloud Rest trial where you enter the shadow world and have to destroy malevolent cores. What is the shadow world? Well,
It's you know, that other neighborhood that we don't talk about.
yeah. Everything the light touches is our kingdom, except
What
for
about that other one?
except
What about
for
that other place? What did I just tell you?
What did I just fucking say, Simba? Jesus.
Look, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those who can extrapolate information from incomplete data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
Who are the other people?
Oh my god.
Just kidding. Just playing with you. I'll be right back.
I'm glad you finished that joke, Johnny.
given that the main antagonist in the Cloud Rest trial is a Slode, specifically a Sea Slode, I would wager that the Shadow World, a couple ideas here. One being could have something to do with shadow magic, which I'm not particularly convinced by that. because shadow magic is all parallel real, like that's some Rick and Morty shit you got going on there with shadow magic.
It's fun, but ultimately something that's kind of hard to work with.
Like Rick and Morty meets Jet Li's The One. Fair enough. So I think Shadow World, it may be a reference to a Jungian shadow. Because the slow.
Yeah, but that's Lig, isn't it?
Not necessarily, because Lig is described as the coffee stand of Tamriel. It is the inverse of Tamriel. If we were to think of Tamriel as a globe, Lig would be on the opposite end of it. And I don't know if you've ever read the document, The Origins on the Name Lig, where it talks about these kings were sitting in a boardroom and the fire alarm went off and someone spilled coffee on the map. And so really it's just describing how the guys at Bethesda were trying to talk about the world of Tamriel, and someone spilled coffee on the map because the fire alarm went off, and they gathered what they could, and the bit that they threw out, that was Lig. Named such because the fire alarm went Lig. But the Shadow World, I think, has something to do with a collective reality of.
They have described, MK has described Lig as being the shadow of Master.
As being the shadow of Master.
And
okay, that explains it. Yeah. There was a thing I read. If you want to look at Lig, no. What was it? Was it Lig or was it? I don't remember. It's something. If you want to see such and such, look up. Like that was the quote. I don't remember what it was. It might have been a Franzen thing, but Franz is not talking to me right now, so I can't really investigate.
Which then reminded me of something else. The 5 songs of King Wolfharth, they describe the keening as being a knife made from the sound of the shadow of the moons.
So probably it's probably a knife made from right? Shadow, the sound of the shit. Never mind. I thought it was funny. I'm gonna eat more cheese. Damn, I don't know how you can this isn't even. It tastes like fucking caramel. This is not cheese, but it's delicious.
It is cheese. You will shut your mouth. That being said, I would say that this is the kind of cheese that you should probably you just sort of occasionally have it as like a snack. Like, oh, I got this on like Sunday and it's Wednesday and I feel like having a snack. So you'll get yourself a little bit of it. I'm an
American.
Andrew, what you are doing here is one step away from just picking up that block of cheese and taking a chomp out of it. Do not. That would be a horrible idea.
No. As a Canadian, I'm okay with that.
What do you mean? I do it all the time.
It's gourmet cheese, right? It's not craft. It's fine.
I did take it. See, I took a little nibble out of that there.
It does look a little weird, though.
Just to spite you, Charlie.
Well, I'm gonna spite you with this picture.
At least you got crackers or
I'm
something.
not gonna click on it, so there's that.
You better. I know you will.
Oh, black hole.
All in time.
Oh, it's a black hole.
So
Stephen Hawking lived
back to the matter at hand. My best guess, I've only played through the Cloud Rest trial like once, and that was with a group, and everyone wanted to do it quick and rush through it or whatever, so I didn't really get to appreciate the lore in it. But I don't even remember the Shadow World thing, unless it was a mechanic used to fight the slowed dude, which that actually rings a bell. Yeah, much. It could have been. fuck, I don't know. I could try to lore it to make it sound cool, but I'd really just be bullshitting. I don't have a definitive answer that will make sense or be potentially accurate at all. It's really, I think, that may actually just be a matter of game mechanics versus lore. I'd have to play it again, really, to have.
Bugs and game mechanics can become lore.
They can, but we shouldn't rely we shouldn't rely on them to be lore. Oh well, levitation stopped being a thing. What's the lore for that? Which, I mean, there is actually some lore.
There is
lore for the alchemy loop.
It's pretty weak though.
It's
the
yeah.
lore.
It's super flimsy.
in the
outlawed.
in the Infernal
That's
City
silly.
books, in the Greg Key novels, we have whole armies using levitation spells and like fighting in the air.
Which
I mean, the Stormcloaks could use levitation if it was outlawed because they don't care about the Empire anyways.
well, as far
But
as
they're Nords, so they hate mages.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
It's not
It
true though.
is
In the lore, they have their own battle mages, don't they?
No.
In the
I
lore.
mean, they have the clever men, but that's
They have the clever men, but at the point of Skyrim, apparently the Nords just hate magic. I think what's his face at the college, the only Nord student at the college can give you an explanation, and the whole explanation is Oblivion Crisis fucked up the Nords. Oblivion Crisis followed by Great War, where it was basically, look at this crisis caused by magic users, and then this Great War, where you're also fighting against magic users.
It makes them look so dumb. They already
It really
look
does.
enough, but jeez. I
Johnny,
feel bad.
is that a Young Scrolls shirt you're wearing in that picture?
You bet it is. Proudly represent
Okay.
I love it.
Young Scrolls.
I just noticed that.
Of course, that's why I wouldn't have this flexing picture if it wasn't.
I was gonna say something. I don't remember for the life of me what it was. Something about before we got on the Nords.
Whales?
What were we talking about before Nords?
League.
Flying whales.
League.
No, League. After that.
Shadow.
After that.
Game mechanics.
There we go. Game mechanics. Yeah.
Oh,
And levitation.
Levitation.
No, I remember what it was. I remember what I was gonna say. It was
Alchemy loop.
It's
Oh god.
it's me being a dick, pretty much. The Greg Keyes novels, I mean, there was some decent lore in there, but as far as the writing goes, I could shit better narratives. Like,
I mean,
It's just
those books are so bad.
I like them a bit. I mean,
Some of the
I listen
stuff
to the.
I read them both, and I just
Maybe it was the novel. Maybe it was just the novelty of it all.
Yeah.
You're tired?
Ish. Also alcohol. Yeah, I wasn't terribly impressed by the books. The bit about when they meet with Malacath, that part was kind of cool.
I like the Argonian lore, the part where they talk about the dream of the East and whatnot.
I think when I read it, I didn't give a dusty fuck about the Argonians, so I didn't pay attention to any of that. I should go back and read them, but I don't know if I want to subject myself to that a second time.
I really like the cooking lore, actually.
Yeah. Where she comes up with a fifth flavor. Oh, it doesn't have any flavor at all. Oh, well, that's fucking clever, Greg.
No, it's not that. It's
there are two texts, sentences in the books that I really like, and I put them in the gold chat.
You're talking while breathing in, aren't you? You're talking while you're talking like this. That's totally what you're
Is
doing.
this your real voice or?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
Voice
sure.
muffler.
Oh, voice muffler. Okay.
Well, I think I'm gonna go play some Elder Scrolls, y'all. This has been fun. We will do it again next week.
I just looked at Charlie's image.
The Black Holios.
Yeah. Black hole donuts. Yeah.
I told you I would spite thee. And I told you it would happen eventually.
I know. Like
It was an inevitability.
one of the greatest scientific advancements we've had in the last decade, and
It
Now
became a
it's-
meme within half an
and
hour.
it's a huge like I don't know why I expected anything else. But have a good night, Johnny. Go have
You
fun.
as well. See you soon. Choo.
Hey, Johnny.
Oh man. Do we want to talk about anything else, or should we just?
I'm kind of tired, honestly. It's super late here.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to talk. It was
I got
fun.
some things to do with this cheese.
Oh God.
Please don't do that.
I'm gonna bag it up and I'm gonna put it in my refrigerator and then I'm gonna cut it a little off and I'm gonna give it to my wife and she's gonna go, "Oh my god."
Andrew, I'd like to point out that is literally the absolute specific brand that my mom always gets, straight down to the fucking wrapper. I can't even read the wrapper, but that is the exact same color. Yes, that's it.
No.
It is 100% the same
Just,
brand.
Just where are you at? Like Ohio or something?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, in Texas. Okay. I think I do that. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong.
you
Okay.
should.
It's bowling for soup made me make that connection. There's nothing wrong with Ohio except the snow and the rain.
God, I hate snow.
I really like Drew Carey and I'd love to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But when you're done doing whatever, when you're through doing whoever, know that your county will be right here waiting for you. Come back to Texas.
Andrew,
Not
look.
the same since you went away.
This is the deepest lore.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Well, at this point, I'm just fucking around.
Andrew, look at the new picture. It's
Oh.
great.
Fuck. Hey, I'm surprised no one's done it yet, but I want to take that black hole picture and turn it into Goatsy.
There's a
Someone probably has. You just haven't seen it.
there's a feed from Lord of Souls that
Actually, no. That's a lie. Somebody
Shush,
has,
shush,
and you just
shush.
haven't seen it.
Shush. What, Matt?
there's Silverama just shared it in the Discord. There's a beat from Lord of Souls, which mentions the star of the soul.
Oh, here you go. Oh, yeah, it was Solarama doing that. Ah.
A video of himself where his little star, feeling oddly detached,
Mm.
Colin closed his eyes against the thing and reached into the middle of himself, where his little star was, the tiny piece of him that had come from beyond the world and even oblivion, from Aetherius, the realm of pure light and magic. So, is that what was I saying?
Little star. No, I still don't like Greg Keys' writing. I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
I'm sure he's a wonderful writer, but I've made my critiques of his Elder Scrolls novels very, very public. So. Okay, well, I feel like we've hit a good spot. We're at about an hour and 45 minutes, so
Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all,
Yeah.
you in the future, for watching. And
wave bye, everyone. It's funny because I'm on camera.